Okay, great. My name is Libby Murray, and I just want to thank all of you for joining us tonight for Lifetime's webinar and wish you all a very Merry Christmas. And I want to introduce another part of Lifetime's team, Kim King, who's going to help you get to know our special guest tonight. So welcome, Kim. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. Libby, thank you for orchestrating all of this. Libby, did you want me to go ahead and share some housekeeping and information and everything?
Absolutely. Well, I can go ahead and do that, and you can just get ready. I know some people are even typing in their questions now, which is exciting. If you're new to webinars, you can interact with us tonight so easily. Just using your screen, there's a box that will say questions or chat, and you can type right there with us, type your questions or your comments or your feedback, because we really want this to be an interactive time with you tonight. You're going to meet a very significant part of Lifetime Adoption. You're going to meet with Mardie, who's not only an adoptive parent, but she's also the founder, and so she's got years of expertise. So feel free to just share your comments or what you're going through or the questions that are on your mind. If you're joining us by phone, but you still have access to your email, you may email webinar@lifetimeadoption.com. That's WEBINAR@lifetimeadoption.com. And I'll get that, and we'll make sure that Mardie sees that question and that can touch on that too. So, you know, I just again want to thank all of you for being here and hand it over to you, Kim.
So we can already see that we have a nice group with us, and some of you are already in the program as a Lifetime family, so thank you for being here and taking this time with us. And then some of you I can recognize as a familiar face. You're already getting ready to become a Lifetime family. And for those of you who are very new and haven't yet gotten to know us, we know that you will have many questions and things on your mind that need to be discussed. So we welcome you to call our center. We'll open again tomorrow morning, and the number is 530-432-7373. Or you can email me if you have a question and you don't have a coordinator yet. I can take care of you, and the email for me is kim@lifetimeadoption.com. And we also encourage you, if you're very new and you're just starting to get to know us, one of the first things you can do to kind of get in the loop with Lifetime would be to complete your free online application at lifetimeadoption.com/apply. APPLY. There's no fee to apply to our program, and we encourage you to take that step and share a little bit about yourself and what you're looking for in your adoption. We want you to have all your questions answered so that you're able to make informed adoption decisions that are in the best interest of your family and your future child. And the online application is very helpful because then we're in a better position to serve you with customized information that's more so related to your specific needs and circumstances. And then after that application, the next step would be that you may be invited to have a free phone consultation, a one-on-one conference with one of our adoption coordinators who can get to know you better and help you determine the path that is best for you. So if Lifetime seems to be a good fit from there, mutually of course, we will then send you our packet of information and resources for adoptive families, and then you're able to even further explore what it would be like to be a Lifetime family. So we enjoy staying in touch with you so that you're never alone on your path. That goes for families who are in the program as well as families who are searching for the right path. And we can help you create a step-by-step process to help you reach the ultimate goal, which is bringing your baby home. So as Libby said, you can always type in your questions as we go through the program tonight. Questions, comments, feedback, it's all important to us. So, and many of you have already tested the feature as we were talking, and maybe you've interacted with us on a past webinar, like last week's webinar with Birth Mom Rebecca. And by the way, we do have that recording available, and I'll share with you how you can access that private link later on in our program. We also have some fun giveaways that Libby has planned tonight, so keep your ears open for your name during the program. So that'll help spice it up a little bit. And let's see, so let's go ahead, Libby, I think we're ready to go ahead and introduce Mardie.
Yes, I think we should go ahead and get started. So we already have people chomping at the bit for questions.
Yep, I'll take that as a yes, Libby. So I'd like to take a moment to introduce our special guest for tonight. As many of you know, Lifetime was founded in 1986 and has since grown into a nationwide program that has assisted with thousands of adoptions all across the country. Lifetime's founder and CEO, Mardie Caldwell, is an adoptive mom herself and created a program here at Lifetime that was inspired by her personal journey through several years of infertility, multiple miscarriages, and ultimately the gift and hope and renewed energy in adoption. In the years since, she's been called upon in the national media. Many of you may have come across clips and things online. She's been called upon as an adoption expert, and where we always get so excited. She's been on the Today Show. She was recently on the all-new Ricky Lake Show, which I know that there are some clips lingering around online, as well as programs on CNN and Fox News Network, so just to name a few. Mardie's even released several books about adoption written for both adoptive families and birth moms. So I didn't really warn her that I was going to be bragging about her, but I just wanted you guys to all know and be able to appreciate where she's coming from and the experience that she has. So we're so excited to have Lifetime's founder and CEO, Mardie Caldwell, with us tonight. Mardie, thank you for joining us.
Well, thank you. That was so sweet of you. And, you know, I'm just a mom. And thank God I'm a mom, and I'm a mom through adoption, and so that's really what's the whole thing matters is the blessings that I'm hoping everyone on the call will experience very, very soon, and I want to share that. So I have a lot of knowledge I'd like to share, and I want to hear other people's stories too. So I'm so glad you guys, you know, carved out some time to have me on. I miss these, and it's always fun to interact with people.
Yes, absolutely. I can already see several questions rolling in here, and I mean, we all know we're right in the thick of the holidays. Mardie, we were kind of talking about that a little bit before we started tonight. And this can be, I mean, you know, this can be a really hard time. Not only is it busy, and many times adoption, we lose our focus during the holidays. And also, you know, it can be a tough time to transition from infertility to adoption. And, you know, it can be a tough time when people are asking, you know, you're coming into these events and dinners and parties, and everyone's saying, well, isn't it about time that you grow your family? And there you are, knowing your journey, but not really sure sometimes how to respond. And it can all just kind of culminate into a feeling of frustration. So,
yes.
You know, Mardie, what tips would you have for
Well, that? You know, that happened for so long. You know, earlier I had really not thought about, there's so many opportunities that we had when we were trying to, you know, get pregnant that I thought, you know, every season I thought, okay, we're going to have a baby by Christmas, and it wouldn't happen. And actually, you and I discovered tonight it was 9 years of infertility. That's a long time. That's a lot of cycles. And I think for me, there were, you know, I write about this in the book too, about my grandfather, you know, going to New Year's each year and making bets on how many times we would be insulted, because the family would show up and there'd be more babies and things, and they'd look at us and they'd say, well, how about you? And I'd always say, well, we lost that page of the book, you know. And there's little Corey looking over my son right now, looking over my shoulders, and he went everywhere with me. And anyway, it was really hard. So you have to kind of have a good attitude and expect it, and really depended on the mood. But there was times when I didn't want to see anybody, and I had some really difficult times during the holiday season, because it's all about children, and it's like Easter and Mother's Day and Father's Day. And even though I know that I really believed that the Lord was going to bless us with a child, the baby wasn't there. And I really felt like, you know, I wanted to have that baby right now. I wanted to have this Christmas. And I, you know, even though I was young, I just wanted to experience it. And so it was really hard. And I think that, you know, people would ask, you know, what time, you know, was it real busy during the holiday season? And we got a lot of phone calls, I have to tell you. I remember one Thanksgiving, cooking dinner here, got a phone call, birth mom in labor. We've had on Christmas Day. It really depends on, you know, the birth moms and the situation. Also depends, I hate to say that, on the severity of the winter and the heat of the summer. So we see a lot of adoptions also later in that period of time. But one of the things that people ask me all the time is, what kind of responses do you give to people when they say, you know, are you going to have children, or why don't you have children? And I sometimes go through a real private stage where I just don't want to talk about infertility. And I know that it might help some people, but I talk about it so often that, and it's not always appropriate in the grocery store line or standing in line to try something on at a department store. But maybe in a women's group or a luncheon or something, I might say something. After a while, I started just giving my business card and just saying, we're trying to adopt, or I'm help people adopt, and give us a call later on or invite them to a meeting. And it really has to be personal. The main thing you don't want to do is you don't want to come across as bitter, and that takes practice if you have gone through quite a bit. And so I think that individually you have to decide what you're going to do, and sometimes people just laugh it off and just say, one of these days, and others will say, oh no, because I have relatives that do not want children at all. And I've had to ask me, do you think it's bad? And I said, if for you feel that you don't, you're yourself. I think that I could imagine my life going on without children. And when it got longer and longer after I was trying to have a child, and then a little while after trying to adopt, I was, I had those moments of doubt, and then I had to snap myself out of it and say, no, I really believe that I'm going to be a mother, and of course it all came to be more blessings than I ever could imagine. So I think a lot of it has to do with your mental attitude between your ears and how you respond to people that way.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of a long answer, but yeah.
That's a good answer, and people are chiming in here, typing in that they're saying it's so good to hear that everything I've gone through, thought, and felt is not just me. It's nice to know I'm not alone, and she wants to thank you for that, even talking about this. There's another one that says, great point, it is so hard. So these are, things that a lot of families go through, and it's something that our couples go through and single adoptive parents go through.
Right.
It can be a hard time for both, whether you're married or adopting as a single. One comment that I usually clip back is, oh, we're just trying for one a decade, and then they usually just laugh and move on with the conversation after that.
Yeah, sometimes people don't expect something really, really heavy, and so it's interesting. And there's a picture of my son, my daughter on the right, and my daughter-in-law, the redhead, and we're all real close, and they all work at Lifetime, which is exciting. And they all said they didn't want to, but they slowly got in and helped and really enjoy it in different degrees. But it's been really it's been an exciting adventure for me, and I find right now that what I'm doing is I spend as much time with my family as I possibly can, because I feel like I lost so much at the very beginning. I wish I had started my adoption much earlier, and I'm 55 years old now, and I just feel like I want to have as much time with my kids as possible. And I encourage people not to put off any more than you have to, and really, think about that, because for me now I'm scrambling to spend as much time as I can with my kids, because I never know what's going to happen tomorrow. And I want to be there with them. I want to experience all that. And they love being with us, and we laugh and we joke and we do fun things together. And I'm still young and able to do that, and they are too, and they enjoy our company. So I capture the moment and the opportunity you have, and don't put it off where you'll regret it. I think that's the most important thing. So.
Yes. I know that there are a lot of benefits to going ahead and taking some action steps. I mean, wherever you are right now, most likely there's an action step you can take to get you closer to where you envision yourself, which is becoming a parent or bringing another baby home or just growing your family in some capacity. There's got to be an action step and a plan laid out in front of you,
Well, yeah.
I know that the new year, around the holidays, like I said, people get distracted. So, this is really a good time for families to really hunker down and focus on their adoption.
Yeah. I think that, I think that you have to have a plan, and I think I know this happened over Thanksgiving. My brother's older. There's 5 of us, and he remarried a lovely lady, and he had one son, but never had other children. He always wanted one, and she's a little younger. And when they got there, they announced that she was pregnant. And I was so excited I could hardly stand myself. And in the past, because we haven't had a lot of babies, I might have been a little withdrawn, and I thought, no, I'm excited. This is good, because it was always everyone else announcing they're pregnant, and Mardie's just fat. At the time I was overweight, and so it was kind of a bummer. But I was so excited about it. But sending her books and asking how she's doing and send her a pregnancy wheel. And
Yes.
I think having a plan is important. I think having a plan visually in front of you. And I remember after going through all the infertility, I worked in a mall, and for many years I couldn't go past any of the baby stores. And people have heard me say this before. I'd walk all the way over on the other side. I knew where all the baby stores were. And I would go all the way to the hardware department so I wouldn't have to go by the infants department. And I just couldn't go by without crying. So then one day I decided, you know what, I'd really prayed about it, and I said, Lord, I'm really, 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 really ready to have a baby. And I allowed myself to go in and get one baby outfit. And it was so much fun because this is going to be the baby outfit that I was going to put on my child. And so I bought a baby outfit a little bit bigger because I didn't know what size child I was going to get. But it was so exciting to go there, and I just, you know me, I just wanted to tell the lady wrapping it all up and give her a big kiss and say, you don't know, but you're selling my baby, the soon-to-be baby, someday wherever he is, I don't know, his outfit. And I thought, boy, she's going to come like a wacko. But to me, it was a big, a really big step to have it all wrapped in tissue and then take that home. And then, open the drawer that I had in the computer room, as it wasn't a nursery yet, and place it in there and just pray over it and say, Lord, okay, I'm ready. I'm doing my little part. And I think it was about 3 months later we got the phone call about Corey. And I really just feel like sometimes you have to take that step of faith and say, okay, this is what I want to do. And you can't tell everybody that because some people are going to think, oh, no, or they're going to say, well, your wish didn't come true. You have to be around positive people. You have to read positive books. And I think it's really good to have a mentor. And that's one reason that Lifetime has a membership site, because you can go on there and you can chat with other people and find out what they're going through. And, oh, this is Mother's Day. Look how exhausted I was. And he was a little rascal. But what happened was when I was going through adoption, there was really nobody you could talk to that really understood. And I found that I had one girlfriend, and we called every single day, and we spent an hour a day searching for adoption. And then at that hour, we had to turn it off and go. And there wasn't the internet or anything. We just had to do it by phone. And it was very comforting because we could talk to each other. And I didn't feel like I was going to get some judgment. And other people in my family would say, oh, no one's going to want you. There's no babies. And they give me all this negative stuff. And I thought, oh, my gosh, I don't want to hear that because I'm a real positive person. And I really believe that if you have a desire in your heart, you prayed about it, you've done everything on your part, then it's a matter of being, and this is important, being open to what you see and opportunities before you, and then taking the step. Because so many people will see the opportunities, and they'll stand there, and they'll look, and they'll look, and then they'll go get in the car and they leave. And so, and they don't do anything about it. So I think that you have to be prepared by researching it, finding out from good resources. That's why I've written books on adoption. Really, as much information as you can, so that when that opportunity comes, you're ready to take the next step. And you won't be so frightened that you will scare somebody away and make a decision that can be very costly to you emotionally, financially.
All to adoption. All to adoption. And you can go there and get a copy. And then you all get copies. From beginning a path to adoption. There are many reasons that you're just not sure about open adoption, but you've heard that it's so popular, so maybe that is paralyzing you with indecision. You are still hoping to have a biological child to conceive and give birth. Maybe your spouse and you are not both on the same page just yet, which I think one tip for that would be to make sure you're both researching together, staying on the same page, so one isn't growing by leaps and bounds while the other is still stuck in old ideas about adoption.
Yeah, I think there's ways of doing that too, to kind of drop in some information so that they don't feel overwhelmed or you're shoving something down their throat when they're not ready. But that could be for another webinar.
Oh, okay. Okay. I was like, yeah, let's talk about that. What are your tips, Mardie? Another one, another option is how will I cover adoption fees and expenses? I know that's a big, that's pretty heavy on people's shoulders, Mardie, as you know, the cost of adoption.
We have a lot of tips on those too. Yeah, lots of ways that we work with, like payment programs and all kinds of stuff.
Yes.
And looking for someone that wants to trade for putting up a barn, you know.
Yes, she's serious, you guys.
Yeah, we're putting a barn up at the Lifetime
really
Ranch. We said, well, if we have someone that wants to go ahead and adopt and they want to help put a barn up, we'll work with them.
Yep. We're going to have a barn raising, like 7 brides for 7 brothers.
Yes, I think that's great.
That was my favorite scene. And then here is another one that says they want to adopt and they're seeking the right help, so they're looking for the right path. So let's see here. So as you answer those, we will go over those. And oh, you're already trickling in here. So I don't, Libby, can everyone see that? I think they can. 12% is unsure about open adoption. So, and then 4%.
This is exciting. I haven't seen this before. Good. So how's this work then?
Isn't it neat? Okay, so they just basically select their option, and then it's a poll of our audience, the listeners right now. So 36% want to adopt and are seeking the right path. 44% are worried about the budget. And the 4%, the spouse is not on the same page. Mardie, I know that 4% is really small, but I mean, what tips
let me
would
share
you
with
give?
you, because I don't want to have to wait till another teleconference. And if you want more, more. If your spouse isn't on the right for adoption right now, they may be going through a lot of internal mourning of not being able to produce a child that will look like them, that will carry on their name, and this is a fantasy that we've all had since we were children, and it's very common. And I think what happens in that situation is you have options. You have options to have available time to talk and not judge. And if you're talking about your spouse, the best thing you can do is to sit next to them or work outside and not sit across from them. Women like to sit across from each other and talk. Men like to sit next to each other and parallel. So if you ever see guys talking, they're normally not just sitting knee to knee like girls do. They're sitting on a bench, they're talking, they're shooting the breeze, and that's going to be the best thing for you to talk about your spouse, and let them talk it out. If you are in a situation where there's another adopted dad and he feels comfortable and introducing, but again, you can't introduce him like, oh, here's so-and-so, and he adopted, my husband's not ready. Can you talk to him? Bad plan. You know, but if he happens to meet somebody or there's a story or something, let him read that. But you really have to get to the root of what's happening in that area. For some people, they won't get past that, honestly. Many of them do, and I, for one, I always wanted a little child that looked like me. And I had a very difficult time, and my ex-husband wanted a child also. It was the last of his family to carry on the name, and it was very hard for the whole family. But what happens is, after a period of time, and even counseling helps because it brings out something that they had, and maybe it's pressure from his family or from her family. You have to decide whether you want to be a parent or you want to be a mother or father. And this child will depend their whole life on you. When they look at their face of you, and they'll pick up characteristics of you, believe me, the good and the bad. But the children start, my son today, and I'm more of a blonde, is tall, and more people think that he's just biologically mine. And this is a little red-haired, blonde-haired, blue-eyed boy. But I really would encourage you to prayerfully think about that and work with your spouse and do as much conversing but not pushing to find out where it is, because in your heart of hearts, you know, you're ready for it. But I always find there's one spouse that's a little bit more excited than the other one. And if you could break down what it is that they're most worried about, you know, that I won't love this child, I'll tell you 99.9% of the people have that fear. And when you see that child, or are they fearful that they don't feel like a whole person, a whole man or a whole woman? And these are things that counselors can bring out too. But I would definitely explore those areas first before going into adoption, because if not, adoption can destroy your marriage, and even the decision not to adopt. I've seen couples split up because of it, because the mother, the wife, really wants to adopt and her husband does not, and she is not willing to stay, and it will destroy the marriage. So I encourage families, if you truly love each other, which I'm assuming you do, and there was something attracted to you, that you would take them for better or for worse. And if God puts in your way an opportunity for you to bring a child into your family, who are we to say that's not the child that God had meant for you all the time? And I see a lot of families that have biological children and lose them. I've lost 7 pregnancies. And I don't know if any of those children would have lived very long and have put me for more grief and pain for them. But I had to go on what I felt the Lord is right. So I'm going to be praying for you, 4%, and hope that helps you a little bit too. But there's a lot more, but there's a lot of counselors that, and we have them on every so often on our webinars that can answer more questions on a deeper level. So I hope that helps.
Mm-hmm. And, Mardie, as we talk about, faith and prayer, I mean, obviously you want to be in prayer with and for your spouse, whether or not you're experiencing infertility or making life-altering decisions like this. But, tell us a little bit about your prayer life when you were going through your infertility struggle and all of the miscarriages and everything, how you prayed, for God to remove that desire.
Yeah, it was hard. Well, I went back and forth, and, I had a tough time because ever since I was a little girl, I wanted to be a mommy, and I was the oldest of 5 children, and so I was already in that role, but I wanted my own babies. And I had already made quilts for the children, little Afghans and quilts that I had in high school. And I had a hope chest with everything in it, and really thought that I would get married and, start having babies. And I got pregnant, and then I had a miscarriage, and it was very difficult. And going through that whole period of time, one of the babies that I had lost twins. And that was really difficult because I was downstairs at the hospital in Sacramento, and I had a lot of pain. It was around when Princess Diana was getting married. And I was watching that, and I was sitting Indian style, and I got these terrible pains. Went to the hospital, and they said, they took me in. They said, wait a few minutes and call us back up. And I called them. They said, you've got an ectopic pregnancy, and we've got to get you upstairs right away and get it out. And I remember looking to the right of the door where the telephone booth was, and I thought, if I run out that door right now, they won't catch me, and I just ignore this. And it was a really hard thing to be able to go upstairs and thought that they're going to remove it. Well, they removed one, and then there was still one in the fallopian tubes that lasted for another two weeks, and then finally passed. And I think that it does something to you. They put me in the maternity ward. And so when I woke up from being out, I could hear babies crying, and I broke into tears and asked if I could please be moved. And my husband and myself got in an argument, of course, because it was stress on both sides. And, it was difficult. And then I lost another one around, and I prayed, and, I just didn't know what to do. Prayed, got pregnant, lost the baby a week before Mother's Day. And then a year or two later, I lost one on Mother's Day itself, and I know I couldn't go to service. So even to this day, the week before Mother's Day, I don't even think about it, but I have this sadness comes over me. And I think it's just reminders of so long, But I know they're in heaven, and now I'm a mom, and I've got these children. It's great. But I had to go through a lot of prayer time where I, had to have a reminder, and that's one of the reasons, too, that I designed and created the adoption prayer bracelet that so many people wear now, because I wanted something that would kind of dangle on me that I could, I'm a fiddler, so I say fiddle, I fiddle around with stuff. I don't do it. I wish I played the fiddle, but I kind of fiddle with pencils and pens and things like that. I think it's the ADD in me. And my bracelets have a little charm on it, and they just remind you, the charm on it says, pray without ceasing, and they come in all different colors. And I did that because I was sharing on teleconference that this is what reminded me to pray and not give up, and pray for the birth moms that are out there and the children. And it was mine. That's why I called it my adoption prayer bracelet. And so we sell them now. We make them, and they're fundraisers for our foundation. So all the money goes to the foundation to help with birth moms, and the food closet, the clothing closet, and help in so many ways. Scholarship programs that help the girls, that they can get an education, go on, and they're so happy because they can make something of themselves too.
Yeah,
so,
they are, they're amazing when they share their feedback. It just really, it lights our fire. I mean, when
Yeah.
we hear back from a birth mom, yeah, I got the food, or I got the scholarship, and now I'm finished with the program I was
Or gifts
working
from
on.
my other kids. Yeah.
Yes.
And we've
It
always
really,
had, yeah. And anybody would want to still donate. You can still send in like nice coats. We still have needs. We had a girl in Pennsylvania the other day, and one in New York that didn't have enough warm clothes, which was really important too.
Yes.
So I think that going through this and having something to remind you that God is with you and it's going to happen, and don't give up, and be alert and be wise, and pray about it every day. And if you have to put little notes in your pocket, then do it. And that really helped me get through the whole thing, because I had a really difficult adoption, which is a whole other teleconference, but the Lord brought me through really to do the work I'm doing today, and that my whole staff is doing, is to help other people with their own adoption. Because without my experience, that terrible experience and all that going through, I wouldn't have the compassion and the care for other people, and know what it's like to see people around the holidays wanting very, very much to be parents. And that to me is important, to encourage people and let them know it's going to happen. Some people take that in very easily, and other people are still hardened and they don't believe it. And then I ask them to please soften up and just be open to the idea that it can happen, because if you're closed, you're not going to see it. And on the opportunities for financial opportunities to come through and get, grants, or to get discounts for employers' benefits, gifts from relatives, selling a car you don't need. It's amazing what I've heard people do after they're open to saying, I really want to adopt, and then having what they need there to take care of it all.
And Mardie, when you were talking about the prayer bracelets, I think it would be a good time to tell about the website. There's adoptionprayerbracelet.com. So actually, we had already planned to give away 2 adoption prayer bracelets.
Good.
We've chosen the winners, and I'm going to say your first name and then just spell out the first letters of your last name so we don't give your whole identity away. But Caitlin, your last name starts with C-H-A-R, so you know who you are. Just email me, of course, Kim@lifetimeadoption.com. Email me. Go to adoptionprayerbracelet.com, pick out the one you want, and then I know you, so I already have your contact info. Just tell me which one you'd like, and I'll get that right out. And then there's one more winner. So Michelle, your last name starts with B as in boy, R-E-W-I. Okay, so hopefully that's enough so that we won't have 2 Michelles with the same start of the last name. We've actually had that before on a past webinar. Anyway, so Michelle, go ahead and email me the information, where to send it, and, which bracelet you'd like. Whichever one on the website, adoptionprayerbracelet.com. And Libby just sent me a little message. What did she say? There's a special.
Well, and Kim, I was going to interrupt anyways right now, because somebody typed in and said, Mardie, what was one of your go-to scriptures while you wait? And I know that this verse on the charm is one that's dear to your heart, which is just simply pray without ceasing from 1 Thessalonians. And and
it was just had that on my heart all the time. And it's there to remind you, and it's also a great conversation piece, having lunch with other ladies at work, because you've got that on there. People ask about your bracelet, and to be able to start in there and share that you're trying to adopt and give them information. And Lifetime gives you all that. There's all kinds of material that we can give you that you can hand out to help people too, to know that you want to adopt, to help you adopt, and to help you help us adopt.
So before I interrupted Kim, though, I know that we were going to share that there is a special right now. So if you want your own prayer bracelet, because I want to thank all of you who just chimed in when I popped up the website, because Mardie, they were just saying, oh, they're beautiful, they're gorgeous, I would wear mine all the time.
That's so nice.
And so if you would like one of these, and all of them, even if they're in the same color family, they're still unique. So if you would like your own, or if you know someone that you'd like a prayer partner with, and you want to sort of give this as a symbol of, join me in faith, because this is going to happen for me, that you can go to adoptionprayerbracelet.com, and when you order 2 right now, you get free shipping.
Yeah.
And when you order 2 anytime, they are there's a slightly discounted price too. So
make them in a little tiny, really pretty little bag with a little card in them too. So they're really very nice. And I know that people love them too. So I'm glad that, and I know that, and we have these for children, and we have them for adults, and I think that's important. I know, Kim, you had mentioned to me before that some people have asked about how old, too old is to adopt, and I really think it depends on the family and also the situation and their energy level, and also there are older children to adopt, not just newborns. And so, really, we'd like to have people apply and see what it is, because we've had older people over than 40 adopt. We've had some a little older than that too. So it really depends. But I'm a little bit, at my age now, I can't imagine having a newborn in my home at 55 years old, only because I get so tired so fast. But I have other friends that are really energetic at 50. But I would encourage you to, consider your lifestyle, what you can give up at this point, and, consider newborn, older children. There are a lot of children that are 2, 3, and 4 years old that would fit in very well, too. My biggest complaint is that I had an aunt, and her parents had her when she was much, much older, and they died when she was, she was very, very young, and it was hard for her, and she always missed her parents, just missed them and missed them until she passed. And I think her heart was broken. And so I don't want to see a child go through life and not have their mother or their father there. And so I encourage people to really take in more than just your own needs and think about the children too, and the other children they have around and relatives, that they won't be alone. And lots of and I know that.
Yes, and there are people listening who are, just in their 30s, early 40s, who are wondering when is the right time to get started. And, I know, Mardie, you've told us stories of women coming up to you saying, if only I would have had a program like yours, I would have become a mom instead of always thinking I could have been a great mom.
Yeah, and they have, and that breaks my heart. It's like, oh, I just want to tell them I wish I could have gone back. And that's when someone says, well, sometimes people say to me, well, I don't think we're going to have children. And it's kind of interesting, because I don't know if they're saying that to me because they really mean it, or they want me to convince them otherwise, And I know for me it was really hard when I had my first hysterectomy. I had it 2 parts. And people always said, no, I didn't have 2 uteruses. I wish I had. I've been popping babies out, but that didn't work. So it was hard, because that day I remember going out and I heard about a little dog that had been, his mother had, a little Yorkie. The mother had died, and the vet called me and said, I had this Yorkie, and you were on a list. And so he went over there, and that was my saving grace, was that little puppy. And I found that was what was needed. But it was really hard to let go of my uterus. I hate to say that, but after having that, I felt less for a while, and then I finally got grip on everything, and I felt more like a mom, and realized that there was more to a woman than just having an ability to have babies. And there are a lot of women that don't do really well at having babies, and they shouldn't have had them. So I feel real blessed that in my heart I wanted to be a mom. So I hope that came across well, and that helped you.
And I would say that in more concrete terms, most families are in their 30s and 40s when they discover that they are going to be adopting. So if that's you, you're definitely not alone in your 40s, and even some families in their early 50s, like Mardie said. And what it boils down to, again, like Mardie said, is us being able to look at your application and look at everything as a whole, not just take one fact about you and just use that to say, well, no, you won't be successful. Like Mardie, you had people tell you, well, you won't be
I
successful.
did. And I had people tell me that I was too young, because we had started. Well, they had people tell me I was too old when I was 30. My husband was 40. And I have to adopt an older child. And I thought, that's crazy. And we've had people in their 20s adopt, but they were financially stable. When I say that, you don't have to own a home or anything, but they weren't living with their parents. They had good jobs, and they had been together for quite a while too. But a birth mom's going to look at you and say, well, she's almost close to my age, and does she have more to offer my child? My own birth mom, my son, was a year older than I was, and but she could see what I had to offer, we had to offer, and that's what she wanted for her child. So, you have to be able to realize that your life is going to change in your 20s and your 30s, and you want to make sure that you have stability for this child and willing to give up that 20s and, either partying or going out and having some fun that you may not want to do with children, you know, on ski boats and stuff, because I changed a lot of my lifestyle because I didn't want to end up injured and be this child's mom. And so it's good to have dreams and look into it, but you know, if you do know for sure you're you're infertile, that you're having problems with that, then I would definitely start looking into it. If you're doing it only because you want to save a child, but you're not financially secure, it's not a good reason. And I hate to say that. Become a foster parent, go and help other single moms, but wait a little bit. But if you're infertile in your 20s and you're stable and you're emotionally stable, then age is actually going to be on your side, because birth moms a lot of times want someone that's going to be young, as long as you have stability in those other areas. Should be actually fine. And every birth mom is different. Some will want people with children. Some will want people that have no children. Some want people in their 20s, early 30s. Others want them in 40s because they're already gone fast, all that stuff. So that's where you have to trust the Lord, that He knows, you know, what you really want and which child is meant for you. And I can't tell you the amount of times, like that little sweetie, how many times that we've had families that have adopted and waited, and then when they finally got their child, that child was a splitting image of the parents, either the mother, the father, or both of them together. Unbelievable. And it's happened so many times I can't even count them. And so you have to just realize that you put everything out, you pray about it, and you do all your work. Don't let half the work be done, and then all of a sudden you get this opportunity and you don't have the things you need done to get, the completed part. So,
yes.
So I hope that helps them too.
Yes, I think so. Now, when you first started helping, you started as a support group. How did you transition into actually facilitating adoption?
Well, that's really funny, because I was doing, because my background is in marketing, and I owned a company, a manufacturing company, and I would meet people all the time, and 3 out of 5 people are touched by adoption, so they'd be calling me all hours of day and night, and I would never have time for my husband, and so I just said, we're going to have a meeting at our house on Thursday. Why don't you just come on over and we'll talk about it there. And then my husband did the same thing, and so I was doing it. So Thursday night of the meeting came, and this flood of people came in that they were like getting off this bus almost, and they just bombarded our little condo, and it was so hot in there. We had to open the windows, you're up the staircase, into the bathroom, into the kitchen, by the fireplace, open the sliding glass door, and we looked at each other and thought, we've got to find another place for a meeting, because all these people didn't want to leave, and they wanted to hear how we could help them adopt. And so we did get a church that helped us, and I just wanted to help other people that were going through the same thing we were going through, and make it affordable also. And it's just like anything else. Each of my adoptions and my infertility all cost over $20,000, even way back then. And people spend that on cars and vacations and remodels in their home and don't think anything about it. But you want to have it done legally. You've got legal fees, you've got filing fees, you've got fees to find birth mothers, you've got screening fees, and just making the profiles are expensive. So, there are parts of this adoption, and you keep track of all that, because a lot of that you can use for your tax credit. But what happens is, I think that people have to really sit down and decide how much they really want to adopt. Lifetime is doing, adoptions. We do about 120 or more adoptions a year. Like we mentioned, there's 3 births just over this weekend, so a lot of times that'll even get higher than that. We can't take
Mardie,
every family.
that's it. Let me just interject real quick just to share, if people were wondering about the adoptions. I don't know that we've ever had 3 babies born on one day.
Yes,
before.
we have.
I know we've had 3 in the weekend. Okay, well, you remember, I don't.
Well, yeah, way back we had
3 in the weekend.
3 in one day. I've had 3 in one day one other time, but yeah. That's exciting.
So, well, here's another record. Let's see, it was 1 baby boy and 2 baby girls, so 3 total separate adoptions.
3 states, different states, too.
Yes, 3 different states. Let's see, it was Arizona, California, and Pennsylvania, just for that detail, and they were all born on Saturday, December 8th.
Yeah.
So, yeah, 3 in one day, so
yeah,
it's quite exciting.
That's funny, and I know that we have a question coming, how many placed in 2012, and we're way up there already. Because we're doing so many adoptions every month. I mean, an average of 10 or 12 or more adoptions, up to 15 adoptions per month, and we're already in the month of December. So
I know. I remember the beginning of this year, how many adoptions were starting to come through just in the early months. I was like, wow, we're going to blow this year out of the water.
well, it depends on the winters,
It
too.
just astounded me.
Yeah, and also the referrals.
Yeah.
And we have a lot of birth moms that will contact us, and even if they decide they don't want to go through an adoption, what they'll end up doing is they will refer their friends over, because we treat everybody really, really well. And that's really important when you're looking at an adoption professional. You want to look at their track record. You want to look at, and that's why we send you references. Once you're approved, we'll send you a whole page, 8.5 by 11, all these people you can contact, and their experience with Lifetime. But you really want to have someone that's going to partner with you and not be putting you off, because there's going to be that hurry up and get all the paperwork together and then wait. And a lot of that's normal, but you want to get a live person. If you're calling an agency and you're getting, you're getting a voice recorder, you're not getting a real live person, their birth moms are getting that too, and that means they're not going to have as many adoptions, because if we get phone calls from birth moms that say, I just called 3 agencies and you're the first one picked up with a live line. And that's why we do a lot of adoptions too, is because we make ourselves available. I'm really dedicated and serious about this, and so is our staff, about having the best adoption services for the children, for our clients, to make sure they're happy too. And, there will always be little glitches in adoptions. Don't get me wrong on that. You have got to be able to go through those and say, okay, I can deal with this. Maybe your cell phone died and you got a phone call and you missed it, and by the time you got back, the baby had gone to someone else. Keep your phones charged up. We tell you about the pitfalls that can happen. But I think it depends on, if someone's asking how many families we work with, it depends on what they're looking for, because we don't accept all families into our program. We may have a group, a nice selection of African-American families, families with children, families with no children. So it just varies, because we want a selection for birth moms. A lot of birth moms want to look at 50 or 60 families, and sometimes we only have 30 in the category what they're looking for them. So that's important too.
Well, and when it comes to how families and birth moms and everyone are treated here at Lifetime, part of what Lifetime advocates for is open adoption, in the sense that we want everyone to know what that really means, and what it doesn't mean too.
Yeah,
and
right.
I know that open adoption, for families who are new, that can be kind of scary. What does that mean? So Mardie, in your experience and your advice, what should people know about open adoption, and what should they not be afraid of?
Well, I think what happens is open adoption is not co-parenting. I have open adoption with my children, and it goes as far as sharing letters and photographs, and maybe having a private page on the internet where you can share videos or whatever. I have parents that want more openness. I would like to have more openness with my birth family, my children's birth family, than they want at this point. So I kind of let them lead that. One of my children does not want to have openness with his birth family. He thought he did at the beginning. He doesn't. The other child likes some openness. And so it really depends on it. But the biggest thing is you really want to get to know your birth mom. And we give you that opportunity, because you're going to be you're going to be the mommy, the second mommy, but the real mommy that's going to be taking care of this baby. And I find that I know where my daughter gets her musical talent from. I know where my son gets a lot of his characteristics from, and his little quirks. And he's actually more like me. My full adopted son is more like me than his biological family, which is really interesting. And people say that all the time. He does too. But I think that open adoption is not something to fear from. People are moving away from closed adoption, where you didn't know anything at all, and I think that can be very scary. And one of the things I'm finding is that when a family does not know about the child's background, then there's all these what-ifs, and also if there's some behavioral type things, they're not addressed until it becomes a real problem later on, especially with an older child. Does that help you a little bit?
So, here at Lifetime, an open adoption could be sending letters and photos once or twice a year. I mean, it definitely starts out with you and birth mom both being able to get to know each other.
I'm going to put you on hold, Kim, for a second. I'm going to try to get off this little noise, okay? Just a second.
Okay. So you have that history that, Mardie is And also so that you, you know, have that medical history too. I think that's one of the big reasons why so many birth parents and adoptive families want open adoption now and have fought to make it the norm, is because they don't want their child to ever need medical information and not have it. We get calls on our 1-800 number all the time from adult adoptees who are now in their 40s and 50s and are desperate to have that information and asking how we can help them. And unfortunately, there's not much we can do for them, but for the future, we can just be an advocate for sharing information.
Well, and Kim, I wanted to just say here, too, a lot of our audience just completed that poll, as you saw, and we're sort of tied up for, you know, people's, some of their biggest concerns are how things go at the hospital when the baby's born and what it's like to keep in touch after the adoption. And this has been, and then I want to thank all of you who were chiming in saying, oh, I'm so glad you're touching on open adoption, because that's exactly what I'm thinking is, I keep hearing about it. Even one woman, let me get back to that comment here. She said, thank you, Michelle, one of our bracelet winners. She said, I just saw an episode of Private Practice, and it completely freaked me out when they had an open adoption reference on there. And that's the problem, is that, you know, the normal open adoption stories aren't going to make the news. They're not going to make headlines and entertainment. But what we see, and so many of you joining us tonight might have been on a call last week or the week before or last month, or throughout this year, and we have continued to feature people coming on and sharing their personal testimony of open adoption. And like you heard from Mardie, that not everyone, even with when you look at the adoptee as that third part, not every child even wants to have open adoption, but that
they want to know, though, that it was okay.
Right,
and see, I'm going to answer the 36% of the people said, because the hospital's big, and I hope you guys can send me these stats afterwards, because it'll help with articles I can write for you. But you know, after the adoption, I would just send letters out and some photographs, but I always included myself in the photograph with the baby, so it didn't look like this poor little baby all by itself. And then also at the hospital, it really depends on the situation. I've been in a lot of hospital situations with people, and I really ask the birth mom. With Lifetime, they fill out, the majority of birth moms, unless it's a last-minute adoption, will fill out a hospital plan, and she'll decide what she wants in the hospital. Who she wants to have cut the cord, who she wants in the room, and it's not as awkward. And we give you all kinds of tips. There's a whole segment you'll get as a welcome packet when you start working with Lifetime. They'll tell you how to walk through that and what will happen at the hospital and what to expect. And that's an area that your coordinators will work with you. And every situation is different, because some birth moms go into labor late at night, and some are on the weekends. And if your baby's born on Sunday, then you have to wait till Monday to get discharged from the hospital sometimes and go from there. So I just tell people to learn as much as you can, speak to other people, and once you get ready for that is to have your bags packed, and we actually give you a whole list of things you can take with you and what makes life easier. I think that's important.
Well, and this was, I was just gonna address here, like the photo that's up right now, Mardie. You know, through your years, you've helped these birth parents to find these loving adoptive parents for their babies, and then to see, like in this photo, for instance, you know, a school-age child with
he was a baby. He was a little bitty baby,
right. And here he is. He knows who his birth mother is, but he doesn't look at her as mommy. Yeah.
No, because just, what happens is
that's how I came here.
Up, and that's just the norm. You know, it's like the norm. It's I'll use the thing. You know, I see little kids and they're spitting in these spittoons. And I go, what are you doing? And they just thought, I'm chewing. And it's like, you're kidding. And they draw her butt around it. You know, you think it's bizarre.
Well, and like I wanted to bring up this next photo, because this is on one of our very recent webinars, and it really touched a lot of people, because you'll notice these are not 4 hands from 2 people. These are 4 hands from birth mom, birth father, adoptive mom, and adoptive father, all over this one little baby.
This is, oh my gosh, it's so wonderful. And I've done that too, just a dedication right there.
And this is the potential. You know, they're not going to see each other every day, but you know, and if you hang out till the end of our call tonight, you're going to have a special opportunity to hear some of these stories that you may not have heard yet too. But that, again, if this is an area of concern for you, please reach out to us. Don't let that be the hurdle that keeps you from your baby.
Yeah, no. And I know we get a lot of questions in we can't answer tonight, and there's information about cost and everything once you request information, and the profiles, people asking if they can have profiles sent to other birth moms. If the birth moms email us back, the best thing is to get your information in because you're going out automatically every day. But if a birth mom cannot find a family, then she'll request more profiles, and if yours is in at that time, then they will. Yeah.
Yes, or if the original family can't move forward.
Yes, exactly. And that's
yes, if you have a question, oh, sorry.
That's okay.
If you have a question that's going unanswered just for the sake of time here, please email it to me. For example, if you need a complete outline of the budget, I will send you a detailed list of the budget. Email me, kim@lifetimeadoption.com, and I will send that directly to you. Libby, I know that we had some giveaways that you wanted to announce as well.
Yes, and I have 3 winners for our next 3 prizes. So what we want to send, and this really ties in well too, because a question I was typing with a woman earlier who said, do you, actually I had a few people that said, do you have resources for me just to feel like I can prepare a little bit more for deciding to adopt? And that's what we want to help you with tonight as well, is we want to offer you a free copy of Mardie's latest book, which is Called to Adoption, A Christian's Guide to Answering the Call. And it will come with one of Mardie's interviews with three different guests. So we have 3 different topics to give away tonight. So this is an audio CD that you can pop into a player, your computer, or your car. The first one is titled Sharing Adoption with Children, What, When, and How. And our winner is Amy, and the first 3 letters of your last name are L-U-C. So Amy L.
That's wonderful.
You can, and all of the winners can email Kim, just so that we can keep them all in one place. Email Kim, and her email is kim@lifetimeadoption.com. Our second winner for the next CD book combo pack is a title which is Avoiding Scams and Fraud in Adoption. And I know that this ties in there with, we don't want to invest and then have it for nothing, and
right.
so
that's
you
one
really
of the biggest fears people have, yes.
And Mardie did an audio with that recently, and I think it'll really help out with some of those questions too. And Rebecca, and your last name, the first 3 letters are P-R-O, so Rebecca P. You can email Kim and claim your prize. And then our third winner receives Called to Adoption, accompanied with the audio CD, What is Open Adoption Like?, which is an interview between a birth mother and an adoptive mother, and they talk about how each of them came to adoption and then ultimately met in the center for this child, and then how that relationship stemmed out from there. And Val, your last name starts with M-C-K, so Val M., you are the winner of the 3rd prize too. So you can all email Kim.
Yep, email me. If I don't already have your information, email me your mailing address so that I can get that right out to you. And my email is kim@lifetimeadoption.com. Okay, it looks like we're coming close to we are at the end of the hour. Mardie, was there, I know we have some housekeeping things to, go ahead.
Yeah, we have some little static there, and I'm sorry, I'm on my regular line. I know you guys are too. A sweet little photograph. And Cheryl, we got your message on that. I guess you guys will check into that later on since you know all the technical stuff. Let me know what we can do, but I think we can just contact the company that has those here. I hope this has been exciting. I've loved it. I love answering questions, and would love to come back again. I know you guys do this quite often. I hope this has helped everybody to really get through the holidays and be positive, and just realize you've got to have that positive, outlook that there is a baby for you. And I tell people that. I've been telling people that since 1986, and I've seen thousands and thousands of little babies, and our walls are filled with it. If you're ever out in Northern California, come by our center. We have an open door policy, and we'd love to see you and check in if I'm in the area in Texas, or I'm in Nevada or something, and have an event, or you'd like to have an event and get together some people that would be interested in talking about adoption. We'll put together an informational meeting, maybe through your church. You can let Kim know about that. And that would be wonderful, because then we can share more about it and meet in person. And I think that's the best way to, is face-to-face a lot of times too, and meeting in person.
Yes, absolutely. No, Mardie, before we go, Libby and I had a couple more giveaways planned, so let's be sure and give these away. These are audio links. If you have not yet applied for Lifetime's program and you're planning to do so, when you apply within the next week, please email me, kim@lifetimeadoption.com. Email me so that I can send you the link to Rebecca's interview. And Rebecca is a birth mom that we interviewed last week. She shared so much insight from a birth mom's perspective. And what I've been telling families is that, she is very much, she's outstanding. I mean, she really stands out because of her outspokenness. I guess she's so forthcoming about her feelings and everything she went through.
It really is encouraging.
Worried about. Yes, absolutely. So when you get to hear that from her, I think it will really help. But, even though she's outstanding in that regard, a lot of the sentiments and concerns that she has are very common with birth moms, so I think it will really help you. So if you apply within the next week, or if you already have an application on file, or you're a Lifetime family, just email me and I'll send you the link.
So if people don't have Rebecca's, if they don't have Rebecca's link, they can just email you at kim@lifetimeadoption.com.
Yes. Yes, and they have to already have applied, and then I will go ahead and send it to them. So if they're a family that's already with us in our program, then of course they've already applied. So
well, and I just want to point out there too, Kim, that if you are a family who you may have been on this call last week, and you can access the recording even tonight. You don't even have to wait. It's on your membership website too. Yeah. So so this is a great opportunity for people who might be wondering, to hear a birth mom's side. Yeah.
I think that's good. Someone else asked about the health of the babies. I would say we have some of the healthiest babies, but like anybody else, and I've had relatives and friends have biological children with all kinds of medical problems, and they didn't do anything wrong. This is all in God's hands, and we get as much medical information. We share everything with you, which is really important because a lot of organizations don't. And you get to know the birth mom. That's what's nice about open adoption. You know about this. We ask questions. And there are many people that, and making yourself aware of what cigarettes are, or pot, or, living in the city, living in the country, whatever it may be. But be aware that, we ask those questions in the application too. So we're fully aware of that. And we want the babies to be as healthy as possible for the babies and for the mommies. And for you guys.
Yes, so. And Mardie, that's a good question. I'm glad that you didn't let us wrap up without answering that. I think the concern with adoption, where in regard to medical, the health of the child, I think that really stems from international adoption as well as foster adoption.
Right.
Because in those cases, there could be some significant, let's not gloss over the fact that with adoption, there could be some significant concerns. Right. However, within Lifetime's program, what Mardie's talking about is within our program, birth moms are reaching out for help and wanting stability and a future for their child. I mean,
right.
That's
and they're able to do that.
I mean,
so we don't have a lot of foster situations with this really birth moms coming to us for help, or their parents coming, or a relative that's caring for them with the blessings of them. So it's a little bit different than foster care. And it's really sad. Even in our own community, there's a little girl that was just adopted and from Haiti, and she came in. She was older. And this is another one I'd love to have a conversation on, teleconference. And the child just flipped out. They spoiled her so much and gave her so much, she didn't know how to respond to it all. And she's back now in foster care. And she wasn't before. She was an orphan in an adoptive home for less than a year. And they just gave her everything, and she didn't know how to respond, didn't know how to say no, yes. And so I tell people, please, 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 when you adopt, read as much as you can, and as much as we want to give our children, we want them to ease into it too, so we don't spoil them to a point that they don't know what to do. And we only work with international adoptions when people they do readoptions, very, very seldom, and we have special families that want to adopt these readopts. But my goal is to have these children come from the loving arms of their birth parents into the loving arms of their new forever family, and that's what we do at Lifetime. That's the majority of our Lifetime program. And you can read a lot about that if you're a Lifetime family on our membership site too.
Yes. If you're wondering what the membership site is before we close, that's something that your coordinator here at Lifetime, if you are in our program, will have already signed you up for. We'll have emailed you your login information and everything. So it's an exclusive membership site just for families in our program where we post all the recordings of webinars like this, and we have the twice a month that are exclusive webinars just for our families, so something like this, but only for Lifetime families. We have so many resources on there. That's where the forum is that Libby was talking about earlier. Or I think Mardie was talking, we're all the same, you were talking about earlier, where you can go on and get that mentor support and follow along with other people's journeys, get that encouragement and cheerlead for each other, you know. So it's all there. If you don't have that or you lost your information to get onto that, please email your coordinator and she will get that to you right away.
Yeah, that's great. That's super. I hope
Libby, there was one more giveaway. Libby, you were going to give away one more thing for people who are on with us. Maybe this is the first step you've taken toward adoption. Maybe this is your first experience even hearing adoption professionals talk about adoption like it's an everyday thing, which for us it is, but we know for a lot of families it's not. We know it's all new to you. If you're not quite ready to take that little step of filling out our application, if you email me, kim@lifetimeadoption.com, I have a great interview that I think will help you with Karen, an adoptive mom, and I'll email that to you.
I'm popping up a picture of that little baby in that story you just shared with Karen.
Yes.
That's so sweet.
Yes.
But don't leave pearls in your bed with the babies at nighttime.
Well, and exactly. One of the reasons
I think that's just for a photo shoot.
One of the reasons I chose this link to share with all of you, you know, if you're not ready yet to apply, which I just want to reinforce again, our application process is probably one of the most unique applications that I have seen in working with families through adoption, because it doesn't obligate you to anything, but it really helps us learn more about you and allows us to help you learn more about how we can help you specifically, not just generally.
We don't want to work with any families that aren't ready or are going to be able to go through the process. So we want you to be there. And I think that's why our success rate is so high, is because we do hand choose, and we want them to respect the birth mother and birth fathers if they're involved. Their gift they're giving to us. I mean, if it weren't for birth moms and birth daddies, we wouldn't be mommies and daddies. And there's not a day that doesn't go by that I say thank you, Lord, for doing that, because otherwise I would be, having a bunch of dogs around my house, and that's great. But I really enjoy the children talking back to me sometimes and sharing too. So,
well, in this story, Karen's story touches on a lot of the points that that hopeful parents think about when they're looking at adoption, like how do we talk to children about adoption? What if we already have children and we need to explain that we're going to adopt? And also talking about, getting through while you're just waiting for a child, and all the way down to that their adoption was a last-minute Christmas baby, and just it covers a lot of aspects. So I really wanted to share Karen's story with you. If you're just thinking about adoption, maybe for the first time, like Kim said, we want everyone tonight to walk away with something so that they can chew on it over the holidays, feel like they're not just sitting there and wondering when it's going to happen for them, but you can really feel proactive that you've taken a step to learning more about your future.
And you're in the middle of your pregnancy, your adoption pregnancy, and some people like that and some people don't. I liked it because I realized that it was in the Lord's timing in my pregnancy, and that this baby could come at any time. And when I got the phone call about my first son, I had less than 24 hours notice, and it was overwhelming, but luckily I was prepared. I think I forgot the formula, but I was prepared, emotionally for it too. And I think that I want to wish everyone a Merry, Merry Christmas, a blessed Christmas, and stay in touch. And I want to thank you ladies for having me on the show tonight too, Kim and Libby, and sharing so much too. And I hope everyone got a lot out of it. I think I did. I learned too.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Mardie.
I can tell as we're over our hour, we all three start talking really, really quickly. Imagine what our staff meetings are like. We're trying to squeeze it in. Anyway, thank you all. It's been a pleasure. Reach out to us if there's something we can help you with. You need an audio clip, you need a password for your membership site, you just have questions, just let us know, okay? The number is 530-432-7373. My email is kim@lifetimeadoption.com, and the website is lifetimeadoption.com, and then to apply, it's lifetimeadoption.com/apply to make it easier. Merry Christmas, everyone. I see everyone typing in Merry Christmas. That's really cool.
Wonderful. Thank you, Kim. Thank you to everyone. We will talk with you again soon. Good night.
Good night, everyone.